I was in the middle of a client meeting, going over retirement portfolios, when the front doors to the lobby burst open like a hurricane. There she was, Karen Miller, the self-declared queen of our neighborhood HOA, stomping across the marble floor like she owned the place. Her eyes locked on mine. Her voice cut through the room like a fire alarm. "You're fired. Effective immediately. Pack your things and get out of my building." Everyone turned to stare. My clients froze mid-sentence, unsure what to do. Karen's smug smile spread across her face like victory. But what she didn't know, what no one knew, was that I had already won. Because that morning, I had finalized the purchase of the very building we were standing in. And now, I was her landlord. The rise of each ran 6 weeks earlier. I was just a modest financial advisor. I wasn't flashy. I didn't have a corner office. But I loved what I did. Helping families plan for their future gave me real satisfaction. But working in that office building came with a constant shadow. Her name was Karen Miller. She wasn't just the building's office manager, she was also the president of our whole where I lived. That gave her a double dose of power, and she used both with ruthless enthusiasm. Karen micromanaged everything: the temperature in the break room, the number of coffee pods used per week, even which parking spots each employee was allowed to use. At home, it was even worse. Whole violation letters for garden lights, threats of fines for leaving out the garbage can 20 minutes too long. She fined an elderly neighbor $500 for having unauthorized daisies in her front lawn. People started quitting the office in waves. Morale was non-existent. But I stayed, quietly, patiently, because 2 months earlier, something had changed. My uncle had passed away, leaving me a significant inheritance. I kept it quiet. No one at work or in the neighborhood knew. I had already decided I wanted to invest in real estate. And when I found out that our office building, the very one Karen strutted through like her personal palace, was up for sale, let's just say I made a few calls. The secret purchase ace set up a holding company under a generic name, Smith Properties. Kept everything off the radar. I didn't even tell my co-workers. Let Karen think I was just another 9-to-5 employee she could bully. I negotiated the purchase, handled the inspections, and signed the paperwork. The deal was set to close in 6 weeks. During that time, Karen seemed to ramp up her personal campaign against me. Emails about decorum violations, a warning for using the wrong entrance for clients. She even installed a new security camera indirectly at my desk. At the next home meeting, she pushed through new rules that banned front yard planters over 18 inches tall and demanded whole approval for all holiday decorations. It wasn't about rules. It was about power. She thought she was untouchable. But the day before she fired me, I had signed the final closing documents. The building was officially mine as of 9 a.m. Public humiliation and private power back in the present. Karen stood in the lobby, arms crossed, waiting for me to crack. My clients were watching. Employees peeked from doorways. She thought this was her moment. "Get out," she repeated. Before I called security, I calmly gathered my clients' papers, smiled, and said, "Apologies for the disruption. Let's reschedule our meeting for tomorrow." As they left, Karen leaned in and hissed, "I've been waiting to do this for months. You're small time. You have no future. People like you are just stepping stones." I didn't respond. Not at first. Instead, I reached into my pocket and made a call loud enough for the entire lobby to hear. "Hi, James." "Yes." Everything went through. "The building is officially mine as of 9 a.m. Could you prep the new management notices for tomorrow?" The color drained from Karen's face. For once, she had nothing to say. The lockout next morning. I arrived early with the new property management team. We changed the locks, posted official building notices, updated access codes. At exactly 9 a.m., the cameras showed Karen arriving at the front doors. She swiped her badge. Nothing. Red light. Denied. She tried again, slammed her hand against the door, started yelling at the security guard. When he pointed to the new management notice, her eyes scanned it in disbelief, then rage. She marched around the building, trying every door. When David, the new property manager, finally let her in, she ran to her office, only to find it locked permanently. Employees began gathering, whispering, "Where is he?" She demanded, "Where is that nobody who thinks he can play games with me?" I stepped forward. "Good morning, Karen. As you've likely read, Smith Properties now owns the building. Your position has been eliminated." She laughed, wild and shaky. "This is a joke. You can't even afford a new car. You drive a 10-year-old Honda." I nodded. "I believe in living below my means, but I also believe in professionalism." which is why you'll be escorted out. Your belongings will be delivered to your home. That's when she snapped. The meltdown lunged toward the reception desk, grabbed a potted plant, and threw it across the lobby. It shattered against the wall, barely missing an elderly client walking in. Then she screamed, shoved the front computer off the desk, and began knocking over chairs. "This is my building. Mine." She shrieked. Security stepped in, but when they tried to guide her toward the exit, she slapped one of the guards. David called 911 immediately when police arrived. Karen had barricaded herself behind the front desk, threatening anyone who came near. She tried to charge at me, screaming that she'd ruin my life and fine me until I was bankrupt. The officers had no choice. She was restrained, handcuffed, and arrested for disorderly conduct, assault, 2 degree of property trespassing. Entire lobby watched in stunned silence as she was dragged out, still shouting obscenities. The final fall. Karen went to court the following week. Despite her high-priced attorney, the judge wasn't impressed. The building's security footage, employee testimonies, and a long list of HOA harassment complaints made the verdict easy. She was sentenced to 100 hours of community service, $7,000 in restitution, or restraining order, preventing her from coming within 100 feet of the building or contacting any of its employees. But the final blow came from the HOA. An emergency board meeting was called after video of Karen's meltdown went viral. In the neighborhood group chat, the board voted unanimously to remove her as HOA president. When informed, Karen collapsed into a chair, mouth opening and closing like a fish out of water. The smugness gone, the intimidation gone. For the first time, Karen was completely, utterly speechless. The ending never saw Karen again. She moved out a month later, quietly, no farewell, but the community changed for the better. Employees returned to work without fear. The whole meetings became civil, and my building ran smoother than ever. Sometimes the best revenge isn't loud. It's clean. It's legal. It's quiet power that speaks for itself. Karen tried to break me in public. She never realized I was already standing on higher ground. And when she told me to get out of her building, she had no idea she was standing in mine.